However, God does not. Now, men, we do this. I'm guilty of doing this myself. Men will hold on to mistakes we have made, or our spouses have made, or our friends have made. We'll hold on to those transgressions. Well, 2 weeks ago, you called me such and such. Or 6 months ago, you sat in the restaurant and talked about me like a dog. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, we hold on to that stuff. But God never holds on to that stuff. He don't hold on to your failures. That's why failure is never final with God. God is always looking for the best. As a matter of fact, what he says about sin in our life is, it's as far as east is from west once we repent. Once you go to God and say, look, I repent, I ain't going to do that again. Mm-hmm. There is no longer a record. Now, I'm going to be honest. I am the king at keeping score in my head. I can tell you some stuff Nelly did in 1999, 2000 that I ain't like. But God does not call us to do that, though. Mm-hmm. When we get upset, it's not for us to recall all the stuff that they did to make us upset. That's not for us to do that. The only one that holds a record like that is the enemy. Mm-hmm. And so every time I go to think about that stuff with Natalie, I remind myself that the enemy is now playing a part in our conversation. Mm-hmm. And he's using me as a puppet. I don't want to be a puppet or a fool to anybody. Not the devil, not Natalie, not my mama, not my daddy. I don't want to be a fool to nobody. Mm-hmm. And that's what we are when we remember those things. Mm-hmm. Let's go into 2. Now we're going to teach a little bit. We may even preach a little bit. Let's go into 2. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who, for the joy that was set before him, endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. All right, where we at? Now there are a couple things that I would pull from this. Now, there are 3 things I would pull. What's the first thing?
Faith.
Yeah, but I want more of that. I want all of that. He's the what?
Author and finisher.
The finisher of our faith.
That he's the finisher, but he also the one who wrote it. Well, when you listen, when you reading the book, can't nobody, I don't care how many times. My son will read a book 4 times. Nate will read a book 4 different times, and he'll talk about this book that he's read 4 times, and he can probably give you a good gist of everything that's going on in the book. But nobody can tell you about a book better than the author of the book. What he was thinking when he wrote the book. How he felt when he wrote this chapter. So it talks about Jesus being the author of our faith and also the finisher of it. That means that not only did I write this manuscript to you, but I am the one who will solidify it in the end. I am the one where it stands. You know how, let's use LeBron James. He was a kid, 16-year-old, 18-year-old high school kid going into a man going into the pros, and when he was going into the pros, he got this endorsement deal with Nike for $90 million. And so before he could even get the $90 million, he went out and bought a Hummer for his mom. Ain't had no money yet, but because of the sheer fact that the money was promised to him, they knew at the end where he would be. They gave him the Hummer on that. And that's what it is with us and Jesus. Because we walk into the Christian faith like that, all of the promises are now allotted to us before we even finish or get the contract. That's what that's saying. Now, that's one. What's the second thing?
He endured the cross?
Yes. But it says, who for the joy
that was
set before him endured the cross. Wow. And so what that's saying is before he could even get to the part of the pain, anguish, and agony, he had joy in the fact that redemption was coming forevermore. Not for the people at that time, but for the people of that time, for the people before that time, before the people before that time was that time, and before us now. So there's the joy into his agony. That's why it says enduring the cross. So what's the last thing that he did? That's right. He took his rightful place at the right hand of God. Now, most people, when it's written like that, we don't always understand why he's always seated at the right hand of God. The right hand of God is a place of power. It's always a place of power. So he's not just seated by God, he's seated in a place of power beside God. There is no higher compliment. You know, last year I went back and preached the anniversary of my bishop. And he gave me an honorarium, of course, but in my honorarium was a card. And the card said, to the son of my right hand. And I would, beyond the honorarium, I was done at that part. I was done because he acknowledged that I was a son of power of his. And so that is the highest compliment. Now let's go on into 3. Anybody else want to read?
I will. For consider him that endureth such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your mind.
What do y'all think that means? That's interesting. That's interesting. What do you think that means? That's
like, I mean, he dealt with these people. He knew that, I mean, it seems like, you know, these people were so, or us, includes us, I guess, were so unworthy compared to him, or, you know.
Is he saying, I dealt with all of that, and if I don't, and it's not bothering me, so don't you worry about it?
in a sense, that's exactly where he is. When it talks about Jesus going to the cross, it says, he who knew no sin. So that wasn't his place. It talks about the sinners. It's talking about the big pile of sin, the world's sin that was sat amongst him. And then he fulfilled the duties. But we think about our stuff and can't get past that stuff. That's what we're talking about. And faint not. We can't get past our stuff. We won't get past the transgressions that we did to our spouse, our brothers and sisters, our friends. The enemy hold that thing up to us, and we quit right then and there. We give up. And faint not. Let's go on to the next one.
Ye have not yet resisted until blood, striving against sin.
Y'all get that?
Not at all.
Did you shed your blood for it?
Oh.
That's what they saying. And so many, did you shed your blood for this? For the sin that is upon your life, forget your life, your kid's life. You know, your friend's life. Did you shed any blood for this? No. But we hold it. We hold it. We walk with it. We carry this thing around with us. That's what the people call baggage. We carry this baggage. Now they don't want to deal. She talked about me and money. And that may be some baggage that I have from a past relationship. Not to say that it's true or not to say that it's false. But they may be baggage from a past relationship. We got baggage from past relationships. So, I can't let you deal with my money. Even though now they're better than dealing with the bills and all that than I am. But I'm still holding on to my money. You know what I mean? Oh, no, I ain't going to let you deal with that because of a past hurt. No, what the Lord is saying to you is relinquish that stuff. Relinquish that stuff, and whatever it is that will get you down the road, then you deal with it. If she better at managing money, even though she, some men, I ain't going to let her manage money, I'm going to manage money. And y'all ain't never got nothing left at the end of the month. When she telling her she clipping coupons and everything, and she ready to manage the money, so they'll at least get a Burger King Whopper every now and again, but you don't want to relinquish your right. But you want that Whopper. Come on now. Ain't nobody. Teach better than amen. Okay, let's go into 5.
And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastenings of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him.
And I'm going to keep going for a minute. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth and scourgeth every son, every
Son.
no, some of the,
No,
Son.
every.
just Nate, no, a couple of the,
Sons.
No, every.
every son. It don't matter who you are. Jesse had 7 sons. All 7 of them had to go through this. If you got 14 sons, all of them had to go. He said, every son whom he receiveth. He says, if you endure the chastening God dealt with, God dealeth with you as sons. For what son is he? For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? And I'm just gonna stop there for a second. Now we getting a clear picture of the son part of it. We talking about bastards or sons. We're getting a clear picture now in the text of the son part of it. And at the end of that verse we just got done reading, what it's saying to me is if Nate is doing something wrong, do I not correct him? Or do I just let him roll with it? I just asked him this weekend. He had some issues with some things and got one of his favorite electronic things taken away. And I said, son, should I slack up on that? I said, what made you get this taken away? Well, I slacked off a little bit. I said, oh, okay. So should I slack off on your punishment? You know what he said?
Yeah.
No. He said no. And he ain't really old enough right now to grasp what we were talking about. He don't even know what I was going to preach today, but it speaks to it. He understood the concept that there is some chasing going to be here if I'm doing something incorrect, and he accepted the role. Now, in the beginning, it started talking about Christ, and talking about our race, then talking about Christ, then it talks about sons. Now, what he was showing you is in your race, you doing this. Now, here comes Christ, and he did this. Now I'm going to start talking about sons and what you endure, who receives this. God will chasten those whom he loves.
Amen.
Let's go on to 8. And this is what I love right here. Here we go. But if you be without chastisement, whereof all partakers, then you're bastards and not sons. Now we get it. Now we getting what the Hebrew writer is saying. So if you can't take the chastisement of it, or you won't receive it, you can't walk into a place of sonship. You're a bastard. Now, most people take the term bastard and let's read 9 real quick. Somebody read 9 has a better speaking voice than me.
Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh, which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live?
Keep reading all the way down to 11.
For they verily for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised